What happens when a seasoned mental health therapist decides, I think I'll make a moto vlog? You get the rolling therapist. Stick around for the first ever episode. As the intro said, I'm the rolling therapist. That's kind of fun to say. The rolling therapist. The rolling therapist. Anywho, you may be asking yourself, what the heck is a rolling therapist? It's pretty straightforward, actually. I'm a therapist. I have been for many years. And if you're really observant, you may have noticed that I'm rolling along on a motorcycle. Put those two together and you have the rolling therapist. See, I thought to myself not too long ago, I could put those two things together and make some videos. Now, if you pay any attention to the moto vlog genre on YouTube, you may have noticed that it's a wee bit full. One might say overfull, in fact. There's hundreds, if not thousands of such channels. So why make one more? Well, after a solid 3 minutes of searching, I could find no sign of motovlogs featuring a mental health therapist. So I could be the first, or maybe the second, if my apathetic search missed something. I mean, there may be a good reason why my search turned nothing up, like maybe nobody cares. I admit that a therapist on a bike does sound a bit obscure, but then I remember the days when something called Google was a bit obscure, so I'll forge ahead, undaunted, unfaltering. Given the somewhat dubious prognosis of this channel, I decided not to remortgage my home on equipment. That may well be quite obvious from the less than breathtaking video and audio quality. Ooh, puddle, watch this. Yeah. Oh. I forgot to wear the waterproof boots. My feet are a bit damp now. Anyway, as I was saying, I didn't break the bank on the equipment. You know, mental health therapists don't tend to make most wealthy lists. If the only person who ever subscribes to this is my mom. Hi, Mom! Oh, there's the beautiful Lake Huron. Anyway, if it's just Mom, I'm reluctant to sink a couple of grand into fancy video equipment. Let's see if I get a few likes first. Now, while I've not invested a huge amount in equipment so far, I have invested a substantial amount of time. Finding a reasonable video camera, recording audio that can actually be understood, and navigating the Byzantine maze of editing software has been a ton of work. This is actually the third or fourth time I've run through this particular route. The first time, I got home and excitedly hopped off my bike to watch the footage, only to find out I had gathered spectacular footage of the gas tank. I did it over again, and the wind noise was so deafening, my witty commentary was nothing but a faint murmur in the background. I've seen a dozen motovlogs where the rider wraps a microphone in furry material and presto, they have crystal clear voice and minimal wind noise. I've got a small cat jammed into my helmet, layers of furry material wrapped around the mic like a mummy, and the wind still pummels my voice into submission. I considered a large Ziploc bag around my entire head, but that would affect the video quality. So I gave up, took my wife's advice, and dubbed my voice over dampened down roar of wind. Hopefully this will work. Hey, I just thought of something. Do other motovloggers say they wrapped microphones and got this amazing quality video, but really they just dubbed their voice over like I did? Is it possible that everything on YouTube is not 100% true and accurate? Anyway, on the last run through, I somehow managed to turn the date stamp on accidentally. This irritates me and looks amateurish. However, I'm leaving it on because I already reshot this footage enough times, and I tell people in therapy to resist perfectionism and accept mistakes. So I should practice what I preach. Plus, if I'm honest with myself, I am an amateur. But I digress. On this sodden day, I'm not supposed to be cataloging the difficulties of motovlogging. I'm supposed to be introducing the rolling therapist. For the rolling part, allow me to introduce Carl, my trusty steed. As you've already seen from my heroic water crossing, Carl is a jack-of-all-trades Kawasaki Versys. The name stands for Versatile System. This is not a name I plan to pull into a biker bar and boast about. But I didn't get Carl to enhance my macho street cred. I got him because the Versys is notoriously reliable. It crosses puddles quite nicely. That's about all I'll say about motorcycles today. What, you say? That's it? Hey, did I not already say there are hundreds of motovlogs on YouTube? If you want motorcycle advice, why ask a therapist? Yeah, I ride, but my knowledge of bikes is fairly lame. That's kind of not the point here. I will say before moving on that Carl is named after one of the greats of the psychotherapy world, Carl Rogers. I was going to put a picture of Carl in at this point, but I could not find one that was copyright free. So instead, I drew one myself, and I imagine you'll agree with me. It's an astounding likeness of the man. Meanwhile, let me segue into the therapy part of the rolling therapist. As you may be aware, there are many types of therapy. There's physiotherapy and massage therapy. There's occupational therapy. I'm none of those things. I'm a psychotherapist. That's really kind of weird sounding. Sounds a bit like I provide therapy to psychos, or perhaps that I myself am rather psycho in how I provide therapy. Neither would be the case. I studiously avoid working with serial killers and am really quite easy to get along with. No, psycho is one of those linguistic thingies. You know, those prefix things from Latin or Greek or something. I'm a therapist, not an English professor. That's the best I can do. I do know that psycho means of the mind. So I'm a therapist of the mind, which sounds pretty cool, actually, when I say it out loud. That doesn't mean I'm a brain therapist or a thought therapist. Mind is more encompassing. The brain is inseparably connected with the body, and feelings are just as important as thoughts. Mental health does not simply mean keeping the brain in tip-top shape, but involves a myriad of healthy practices, both as an individual and in interaction with others. Hey, that sounded pretty smart, eh? Yeah, don't let it fool you. I'm just a regular guy. Most of the time I prefer the term counselor to psychotherapist. It's just easier and less pretentious. People kind of get the word counselor. In over 25 years of doing this, I remember one, maybe two people contacting me and asking if I was a psychotherapist. The thing is, the people who really care about terms like psychotherapist are professionals. And professionals have ridiculous great debates about the meaning of these terms, which maybe I'll get into sometime. Or maybe not, because in the opinion of the rolling therapist, that stuff is really not that important. Normal people pretty much don't care what unnecessarily complicated title I have, or what letters are behind my name. Most people start working with me because they're suffering and they're tired of it. They feel miserable and they would really prefer to feel better. What matters is if I can help them to start to feel better. So there you have it. That's a quick explanation of the rolling therapist. Oh, I know I didn't tell you much. But then if I explained everything right away, what would the point of an entire channel be? I have to leave something for future videos. Yes, there are many questions to be answered. What's the deal with anxiety and depression? What kind of voodoo tricks do therapists use on people? Do therapists have problems in their own lives? Do therapists have a life? Why are there so many different kinds of therapy? Will the rolling therapist ever improve the sound and video quality? And perhaps most importantly, what will the rolling therapist do over the long Canadian winter when riding a motorcycle is not a good idea? If any of this is of interest to you, please click the like button and even subscribe. Also, feel free to let me know in the comments what sort of mental health topics you would like me to natter on about. Happy to oblige, I think. For now, let me provide the traditional Canadian farewell. See you later, eh?